I was telling my woman, well, more. Toba Jimmy by you for 6 months. Or more.
Oh,
Wàhálì,
got you.
mo kàn lè jí láàárọ̀ ọjọ́ kan kí ní ẹ̀mọ̀ kan. Ẹ jẹ́ kí n gbógun wọ̀lú yìí. I was just thinking about it. Like, imagine you're waking up 6:30 in the morning, and the first thing to come ni ní òrìṣà ẹ̀làrọ̀ wá o. I was like, what? Like, are you? It felt like I was watching Coming to America. Share not to see it, But it's super amazing. I sent the scene. I saw it on Yoruba blog yesterday, and it was
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
for those, I want to say, Wale, don't wonder ní pé kí ni èmi àti ẹ̀gbọ́n Akanji ń sọ. Let me play it for you one more time, and then we'll play the Yoruba Nation anthem, and then we will start the conversation. So basically, there was this video of Boshinji Oniorisha Lararo, and to me, it's one of the best things I've seen in a very, very long time, as in super amazing video. And the Batimori, mi dun. It's a 59 video, 59-second video. So my play and sing. So can I imagine pé kò tiẹ̀ jẹ́ báyìí ni alarm clock yín ṣe ń jí yín, and just imagine how wonderful you would be waking up. So ẹ jẹ́ kí n play and sing. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's any other video that beats this for me. This is my video for the month. So I play Yoruba Nation anthem, then Egba Koji. It will be over to you.
Send money to loved ones abroad with Remitly.
Mo send owó, kò sówó láti send jàre, kó farabalẹ̀. Ẹ káàbọ̀ gbogbo ilé o. Alàgbà Akanji, over to you, sir.
Ẹ ṣeun arákùnrin Fẹ́mi. A ṣe ìbà fún gbogbo ènìyàn tó wà nínú yàrá yìí. Life for Tapu Ejekin, I will be speaking both English and Yoruba just for the benefit of those who are not familiar with the greatest language known to man. This presentation today will be co-presented between myself and my Egbon, Oluwaseun. Oluwaseun ni wọ́n kọ sórí title yẹn, ṣùgbọ́n Oluwaseun Oluwabi you can see him, is in the room. So àtọ̀rọ̀ gáfárà fún yẹn, má bínú Ẹ̀gbọ́n. Well, a ṣe ìbà fún olódù ìkòkò tó ń tan Òṣùmàrè. We call him Ẹlẹ́dàá Òṣùmàrè, the creator of the rainbow. Ó ní Olú tó ní wá, the one who owns us. Olú tó mọ̀ wá, the ones who knows us. Olú tó mọ̀ wá, the one who molded us. Ó ní Olú ìwà, the chief of character. He is also the Oyo Iwa, the creator of existence. We thank the Almighty Olodumare for the gift of the Irumoles. Those are our divinities. And the Orishas, the special ones. And of course, our oracles. Ajuba àwọn alálẹ̀ wa, our ancestors. Adúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ orí wa. Bó ṣe bí ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn àgbà, wọ́n ní orí làbá bọ ká tó bòrìṣà. We want to thank the Almighty Olodumare and the esteemed Council of Irumoles for the work that Think Yoruba First and other organizations are undertaking at this present moment. Without a shadow of doubt, we would like to salute the leadership of TYF, the president of TYF, the astute Are Kurumi, and the gallant stalwart comrades and associates of the TYF, including but not limited to the following persons: the indomitable Obirin Akanshe, Dr. Bukola, Ogbeni Femi Akishola, aka, I think more recently you've been calling yourself Iwure. I don't know where that is from. You have to explain to us, but that's a beautiful name, nevertheless. Ogbeni Olarewaju, who is not on the platform at this point. I know the other associates, persons like Ogbeni Bonka, who I fondly like to describe as the Olukpita Oba of Yoruba land. We are still waiting for the Olubadan to give him that title. There are several other persons, Olori VJ, Yoruba goddess. There is also another Olori on the platform. There is Ogbeni Ojogbon Ifadare. There are several other people. So please, if I haven't mentioned your name, Eforijiwa Kishi Afojudio Mogbobo Eniyan náà ni. We want to thank everyone who's allied to this organization. We salute every Yoruba son and daughters, home and abroad. Káàkiri orígun mẹ́rẹ̀ẹ̀rin àgbáyé. A júbà gbogbo ènìyàn tó wà nínú ìkànnì yìí ní àkókò yìí àti àwọn tí ó tún ṣe àtúgbọ́ fọ́nrán yìí. Ẹ wò, ire lójú owó rí, ẹ ò ní pínyìnkìn, ẹ ò ní pìdín láṣẹ Èdùmàrè. Before we proceed to address the subject, please allow myself and my brother, my Egbon, Oluwaseun, to make these following submissions. Number one, you see, we bear full responsibility for all that we will say here today. Because you see, we know that what happens in Clubhouse does not stay in Clubhouse. And such that the views that we would express here today are not necessarily the official position of TYF as an organization. So that's let that be clear to everyone who would listen now and in the future. For this discussion, like I said, we will be switching between the language of the oppressor, the English language, and our own Yoruba language. So, Eforijiwa, lori yen. Now, as it pertains to the question of Yoruba self-determination, our own joint and several positions, so my position, Ogbeni Oluwaseun's position is that, you see, the question of our Yoruba self-determination is no longer a distant prospect. Uh, we believe that necessity is laid upon us to self-preserve. So therefore, we will not play to the gallery. Um, our glorious exit from the Nigerian contraption is no longer a question of why, but when and how. So we are not Nigerian apologists. Oshewo. If you are not of our persuasion, you don't have to agree with us. But at least we would hope that you have the decency to respect our own aspiration. Because we know that freedom is a universal human right under the United Nations Human Rights Charter. And so it is because of this that we would accept every label that is assigned to those who dare to express their preference for self-determination. Some of those labels include racist, secessionist, tribalist, segregationist. Our belief is that if seeking the preservation of Yoruba, of our own race, if thinking Yoruba first is what makes us any of these labels, then we are proud to wear that badge with honor. So we start. Àwọn Yorùbá ní pé ìràwé kì í dájọ́ ọlẹ̀ kó sùnà. Ẹ dákun bá a ti ṣe ṣe ẹ jẹ́ kójú wa ṣe lónìí. Àwọn alálẹ̀ wa kójú wa ṣe fún wa. Orúkọ tèmi, my name is Olúfẹ́mi Òní. Ìnagijẹ mi, my alias is Saint Akanji. And I'll be making this presentation today with my dear brother and friend, Arákùnrin Oluwaseun Oluwabi. Ẹ̀gbọ́n Ṣeun, please ẹ ṣe hello sí àwọn aráalé. Ẹ kí ara àwọn aráalé ń ṣókí. Àgbọ̀ yín o, Ẹ̀gbọ́n Ṣeun. Ǹjẹ́ àwọn aráalé ń gbọ́ mi bí?
À ń gbọ́ yín o.
Okay, Ẹ̀gbọ́n Ṣeun, mi ò mọ̀ bóyá ẹ lè bá wa kí àwọn aráalé. Tẹ́ ẹ bá sì bóyá kẹ́ ẹ jáde kẹ́ ẹ wọlé padà. Ìgbà míì kíní àwọn ayélujára yìí máa ń they develop a mind of their own. But in the interest of time, we would okay, let me give him a few seconds to join again so he can salute the house as well. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ bá wa pèrò sínú ọkọ̀. Ẹ bá wa ṣe alábàápín. Okay, so I'm going to bring him up again. Oluwaseun Oluwabi. Okay. Hello, Ẹ̀gbọ́n Ṣeun, ṣé ẹ lè sọ̀rọ̀ ńsìn káwọn aráalé lè gbọ́ yín? Okay, I don't know why that is, why we can't seem to hear him, but we would proceed. I'm sure he would find a way around that. Well, a brief introduction about myself. I have the awesome privilege of leading an organization called the Omoluabi Trust. The Omoluabi Trust is a multidisciplinary Yoruba think tank that is essentially championing the restoration of the dignity of the great Yoruba people of the world. The arrowhead of this organization, of the Omoluabi Trust, is an entity we rightly call Omoluabi Collective, Omoluabi Parapo. And through this organization, again, we're working very hard to build a number of digital and physical assets and other initiatives to propel the restoration agenda. One of such initiatives is the Omoluabi app. It's on www.omoluabi.app, which we hope would become the ultimate destination for all things Yoruba. We also publish from time to time thought pieces on omoluabi.substack.com. There's a lot more that we are working on as an organization, including what we describe as the Omoluabi Prize, TOP, which is an award to celebrate Yoruba excellence. So much in the same way you have the Oscars and the Grammys, our vision is to have an award category that truly celebrates Yoruba excellence. Oluwaseun, can you unmute yourself and speak? Ogal. I don't know why that is the case, but again, we'll keep going. So, together with my brother Oluwaseun Oluwabi, who is an advisor and a facilitator, we're really excited to be, connected to organizations like Think Yoruba First, Awujomo Yoruba, the Yoruba Nation Global Directorate, and others who believe that the dignity of the great Yoruba people will be restored. And we say this by the predeterminate counsel of Olodumare. It is my hope, brothers and sisters, that this brief introduction that we have given gives you an insight into why this topic is so dear to us. We are an organization that are trying to project the Omoluabi essence. So this is a very personal topic for us. It's very low okun ayawa. Like I said, we're really thrilled to be here today to speak on this topic. What is Omoluabi code? But before we sort of proceed into how the session is going to run and how we're going to sort of anchor this, let me say that in many ways, this session feels to me like a continuation of an earlier session that we had. On the 29th, or is it 30th of May, 2022, I was invited to give a speech on a topic, the Yoruba ovarian lottery, where we spoke in various manners around the subject. But or Omoluabi code, we just scratched the surface. But what I hope to do today with the assistance of my brother is to, to expand that, to expand that. The other thing I want to say is, please, for those who haven't or who missed that session, please listen to that session. The last time I even checked, I think, please correct me if I'm wrong, Ogbeni Femi, I think this has even been uploaded onto Apple, and I think I actually have the link here. If you just give me 1 second, I'll paste that into the room. Correct. So I'm gonna paste that into the room. Just after the session, you might consider checking that. Well, by the end of this session, which we hope is going to be an interactive one, it is my hope, and indeed our hope, that it will be clear to everyone that the future of the Yoruba people, ọjọ́ ọ̀la àwọn Yorùbá, àbí tẹ́ ò bá fẹ́ràn orúkọ yẹn, because oríṣiríṣi láti gbọ́ nípa whether or not that name is even a correct name to call ourselves. But our nígbàgbọ́, we have the belief that those who call themselves by various names such as àwọn ọmọ O2s, àwọn ọmọ Òdùduwà, àwọn ọmọ Káàárọ̀ Oòjíire, àwọn ọmọ Ìwà Pẹ̀lẹ́, it is my hope that by the end of this presentation, it will be clear to you why we all need to get into the frame of things in terms of advancing the Omoluabi agenda. The outline for this presentation is going to be along 4 segments. The first segment, we will talk about what we call the secret of the universe, where we would talk about the Igbaiwa, the calabash of existence, or the calabash of character. We will then move to the second segment, which is going to be the etymology of the word Omoluabi. And then we would then segue nicely into the 8 attributes of the Omoluabi. And then we will end on a rather interesting note, to say that, listen, money, owo, is not an attribute of Omoluabi, and you will see why we make that bold declaration for the avoidance of doubt. And so we begin. The secret of the universe, Igbaiwa, the calabash of existence or character. Let me begin by saying that our future as a people is not tomorrow. Our future is inside of us. And to truly understand the concept of Omoluabi, we will need to revisit our sacred past. Because you see, the past holds the key to understanding who and whose we are. Far too many times we are trying too much to get to tomorrow, not realizing that the light we seek is really within us. Bó ṣe bí òwe àwọn àgbà wọn ni pé igbá ńlá méjì ìṣojú dera wọn. Two halves of a god or calabash create one universe. It's a Yoruba adage. The Yoruba creation story speaks of a folk tale which features Oduduwa and some heavenly emissaries who accompanied him on a journey from Orun, Isalu Orun, to Ile-Aye at the behest of Olodumare. In one version of the story, because there are quite a number of variants to it, Egbon Oluwaseun, are you back and can you speak? Oga, ojú ti internet. So at the behest of Olodumare is the journey of Oduduwa. In one particular version of that story, we are made to understand that in addition to the mythical or mystical chain, Enwo is the word for chain. I think I did even pick that up from listening to Dr. Fadipe a few minutes ago. So in addition to the mystical chain that was given to to Oduduwa, it was also given a cockerel, akuko, and a sacred calabash, which he was able to use to prosecute the task of creation. The legend has it that this sacred calabash was seeded in Ile-Ife. And now it's at this point that I would like to mention that and sorry, apologies for anyone who's probably heard me say this, not to sound like a broken record, but in 1993, there was a Newsweek interview with Fela Anikulapo, Abamieda, #1 himself. He spoke briefly about this sacred calabash, which according to him at some point may have been hijacked by the British Europeans. According to him, he said that the name London is actually from a Yoruba descriptive, which is Lati or Doni. He said that's where the word London is from. So the British Europeans got something from Oni. He went as far as saying that the English language is considered an elliptical variant of Yoruba language. But again, that is just as it was said from his mouth. I haven't confirmed the veracity of those claims, but I thought it was interesting to sort of present that within the context of this conversation, right? Now, there are several epics in Yoruba history that speaks of the sacredness of the calabash. We have such as in the Awori legend and several others. In Yoruba cosmology, the concept of existence itself has a lot to do with this calabash, Igba. Indeed, one may assert that the calabash is a recurrent and invariable model of the cosmos or the universe as we call it. Igba, calabash, is a constant symbology in terms of proverbial element of it, the philosophical element of it, the pragmatic, and what we might describe as percussive. Because tẹ́ bá rí àwọn tó wọ́n ní ṣẹ̀kẹ̀rẹ̀ èròde ìbànújẹ́, Even the shekere itself is calabash in some way, gourd. And it's brimming with celestial and terrestrial meaning, movement and rhythm. Okay. One particular Yoruba scholar by the name, he's also an art historian, Babatunde Lawa, he has the following to say. He said, the top half of Igba, calabash, signifies maleness, ako, as well as the sky or heaven, isalu orun, which is the realm of invisible spirits. He said the bottom half represents femaleness, abo, and the primeval waters out of which the physical world, Ileaye, was later created. He said a mysterious power called Ashe is thought to hold the god, the calabash, in space, enabling the sun and the moon to shine, wind to blow, fire to burn, rain to fall, rivers to flow, and both living and non-living things to coexist. The summary of this is that in Yoruba cosmology, the conceptualized calabash is split into two symmetrical but opposing halves, the base and the lead. One containing the visible, the human, the earthly, and the other, the invisible, the ethereal, the eternal. Now that's a lot of grammar. But let's step away from the highly philosophical to a lot more things that we can relate to. We are told in the old Ife society and in the whole Oyo Empire to a very great extent that a newly enthroned king is presented with an Igbaiwa, a sacred calabash, which must remain closed until perhaps such a time when such a king is found to be unworthy of the throne. Odamiloju, I'm very confident that people in this room are familiar with the beauty of the Yoruba system of democracy, which of course predates our encounter with the so-called white people. For as long as the king remains sensible, the sacred calabash will remain closed. However, if after the passage of time, and for whatever reason, such a king is found to be derelict and a usurper, he ultimately finds his Waterloo. This is why our elders will say, "One shigba fun oba." When this is done, when they open the calabash, such an unfortunate fellow must immediately vacate the sacred throne. He is then commanded, such a king is then commanded to either proceed on exile or to commit suicide. This was a vote of no confidence passed against a king whose Iwa, his conduct and his character has fallen short of good. You see, this epic is where everything comes full circle as we try to understand the importance of Iwa in Yoruba thought. And you see, the key takeaway here is that, in order to understand the Yoruba concept of Omoluabi, we have to understand that it is rooted in the concept of Iwa, which connotes two things. Iwa as a word means existence, Iwalaye, existence, or Iwa means character, Ishesi, conduct. This is the beauty of the Yoruba word, or the Yoruba language. I'm not linguistics, I'm not a scholar by any means, but as a Yoruba speaker, as a Yoruba man, of course, we all know about the tonality dimension to Yoruba language. But this is one particular instance where a word has the same tonal sound, but means two different things. It is unusual, but in this particular case, we see this manifest. So Iwa means existence, just being, a state of being. And Iwa also means character, Ishesi Eda. And this is where the first segment really comes to an end in terms of understanding the secret of the universe and the Igbaiwa, the calabash of existence. So we then enter into the second segment, which is the etymology of Omaluabi. Where is this word from? Omoluabi, Reremidomi. Please indulge me to begin this segment by sharing a personal story. About a year ago, I had a big question on my mind. I needed to understand the etymology of Olodumare. And you see, the reason for that is, one of the early lessons I've learned as a Yoruba is that we are not a flippant people. We are not careless people. Our ancestors did not use words carelessly. So words always have meanings. So for me, you see, I'm one of those who have recently become a lot more enthused and enamored with the Yoruba identity. Once upon a time, I was a Christian, a professing Christian. And so while I was coming out of that foreign experience, it was very important for me to understand the meaning of the things I was getting into. And so for me, I needed to understand what is the origin and the meaning of the word Olodumare. All right? And I said that at the beginning, but I'm sure many people wouldn't have caught that. Olodumare is from the word. Let me come back to that, but let me even tell you a little bit more, okay? And so my question is, what is the meaning of Olodumare? It goes without saying that I went on Twitter and asked that question. And believe it or not, that was how myself and this gentleman by the name Oluwaseun Oluwabi met. Most people ignored that question, but he was one of those who responded. And he said to me, Olodumare is from two words, Eledao Shumare, which to a very large extent is very correct. But there is a lot more to this word. As a matter of fact, Olodumare is a shortened word which is derived from Olodu Ikoko Tontan Oshumare, the owner of the pot out of which comes the rainbow. So, why will I tell you this personal story? It is to establish a principle in Yoruba language, which is what I describe as Iparoje. Maybe Dr. Fadipe can help me with the correct English linguistic description of that. But what you would find, brothers and sisters, is in many Yoruba words, we apply this Iparoje, which we tend to shorten the syllables. I don't know, maybe it's a stylistic thing we do, or maybe it's actually a demonstration of our sophistication or laziness. I don't know. But it is something that Yoruba people do a lot. It is truly creative. All right. And Olodumare as a word. Okay, I see the good doctor is up. Please feel free, sir, to chime in if you can provide the academic construct for that old Ikparoje thing. The mic is yours, sir. Okay, the doctor is not speaking yet. So the long story short here is that the Olodu Ikoko, right? Tonton Oshumare, Lodi Olodumare. Because this sentence, this very long word or sentence, has gone through systematic process of shortening to become what it is. There is an Agbawo, an elder chieftain by the name Sholagbade Popola. It was through him I actually then really understood the etymology of the word Olodumare. And like I said, this whole process of crunching syllables to make words and sentences shorter is called Ikparoje in Yoruba. Again, I would leave the scholastic analysis of this to the experts. I'm not a linguistic expert. So it therefore wouldn't come as a surprise if I then say to you, brothers and sisters, that Omoluabi too is like Olodumare, a shortened word. Iparoje ati apa iparoje no soon. So in a manner of speaking, Omoluabi as a word has been iparojed. The syllables have been systematically shortened. And so it's at this juncture, if you allow me, that I would then want to stand on the shoulder of another scholar by the name of Olajumoke Omole, who did an excellent analysis of Iwa. So we'll come back to Omoluabi shortly. In a particular article that she published via an online journal, Psych Discourse, sometime in winter 2014. The title of that article is The Yoruba Philosophy of Iwa, Moral Character as a Fulcrum of Human Personality and Well-Being. This lady actually did a fantastic job of not just, like every scholar whose what is weight in onion will do. She stood as well on the shoulders of many giants, including Professor Wale, Wande Abimbola, Sophie Oluwole, and all sorts of people. I'd like to actually quote something she said. She said, "The well-being of a society is grossly dependent on the peace and unity maintained by every individual component of that community while engaging in social interaction." She said, "Every individual which constitutes a social player must at every point in time display acceptable values, ethics, and morals that the society dictates." He said this is reflected in their character. I think what I might do, just to, again, provide credit here, is to also share the link to that particular article for the benefit of those who are research-minded. So I'm going to do that as well. Give me a few seconds. So again, I'm going to paste that in the room for anyone who's interested in investigating further. Now, it was this lady that did a fantastic, consolidation of what people over the years have thought about the etymology of Omoluabi. She began by saying that Omoluabi is an adjectival Yoruba phrase, adjective, which has the following words. So Omoluabi has the following words: Omo ti Oluwabi. Omo ti Oluwabi. Those are the components. And if we take those words literally and translate them separately, Omo means child, Ti means that or which, Oluiwa means the chief or master of Iwa. And we've said Iwa could either be character or existence. B means born. So when we combine it together, Omoluabi would translate to the child begotten by the chief of Iwa. Such a child, which is sired by the chief of Iwa, is thought to be the paragon of excellent character. So that is one view of what Omoluabi is. Now, some have also suggested that, according to that same paper, some have suggested that this particular breakdown is too simplistic. And they have suggested that Omoluabi is actually Omotioni Waibi, a child whose character takes after. Now, the late Professor Sophie Oluwole in 2007 actually said that Omotioni Waibi, a child whose character takes after, for it to be considered to be the actual root or complete meaning of Omoluabi is incomplete, because when you look at that statement, a child whose character takes after is an incomplete statement. Okay? Because the phrase yearns for a completion, because she said it raises the question, Omotioni Wabi Tani, a child whose character takes after who? So, so for the purpose of this presentation, I would be more inclined to go with the more organic definition and literal definition, which is Omoluabi simply means the child begotten by the chief of Iwa. This is especially important because Yoruba people answer that title. We describe ourselves as Omoluabi. Now, again, like I said, please, Emma Jekagbag, don't let us forget that the word existence and character are two sides of Iwa. Okay, and this is very important as we sort of try to understand the concept further. Because what you would realize, this is like me giving the expo, is character is the bedrock of existence. As far as the Yoruba thought is concerned, it is why our ancestors opened the calabash to unseat unscrupulous personalities from the sacred throne. Wọ́n ṣígbá ìwà fún. Pé ìwà rẹ̀ kò bá taráyé mu, lọ́mọ bá wọn ṣọ̀run. So this is the end of the segment 2, talking about the etymology of Omoluabi. I'm going to take a pause for a minute and just ask, does anybody have any exception, any addition, any question at this point before we make any progress forward? Ẹ dákun ṣé ń gbọ́ mi àbí mo kàn ń sọ̀rọ̀ sáfẹ́fẹ́ ni?
I'm going.
Okay, ẹ ṣeun.
À ń gbọ́
Ẹ̀gbọ́n
yín o.
Oluwaseun, I pass the
À ń
baton to
gbọ́
you
yín o.
to take. Ẹ ṣeun. Tí o bá sí ìbéèrè, I will then hand over to my brother Oluwaseun Oluwabi to take us through the 8 attributes of the Omoluabi. But before you do that, ẹ̀gbọ́n tẹ́ bá lè introduce ara yín kẹ́ kí àwọn ará ilé bó ṣe yẹ ká ṣe.
Yeah. Mo kí mo ṣèbà fún gbogbo ará ilé o. Àtàwa tá wà nílé àtàwa tá wà lóko. Um, um,
A fi
I
bẹ́ẹ̀
feel
gbọ́ yín o, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ bá a sọ̀rọ̀ sókè, ẹ ṣé.
okay, ẹ má bínú o. Mi ní mo kí gbogbo àwa tá wà lórí nínú room yìí o. Ẹ ṣeun o. Thank you for the opportunity that you have given us to present this paper today. Ìbà ọmọdé, ìbà àgbà o, ìbà ẹ̀yin tí ẹ ṣíwájú wa àtàwọn tó ń bọ̀ lẹ́yìn, ìbà ọkùnrin àti ìbà obìnrin. Um, yeah, so we are in the third segment now, the segment 3, which is what we have called the 8 attributes of Omoluabi. My name is Oluwaseun Oluwabi. That's what you will see, but it is actually Oluwabi, and I was given that name by what I can say, or you will know as revelation. Yeah, and I was asked to change my name to that. So my name is Oluwaseun Oluwabi. So the 8 attributes of Omoluabi, gẹ́gẹ́ bí a ṣe mọ̀, èmi náà máa sọ Òyìnbó, màá dẹ̀ ti máa sọ èdè wa, which is the best and the most beautiful language on this planet, anywhere, èdè Yorùbá. So I'll be spotlighting the 8 attributes of Omoluabi in this segment. And yeah, according to one Richard F. Burton in 1865, in his book, Wits and Wisdom from West Africa, the following was recorded concerning the Yoruba people. I'm sure most of you would have heard Femi quote this thing over and over again because I know he loves it. Surely, these are indications of no ordinary perception of moral truth and sufficient to warrant the inference that in closeness of observation, in depth of thought, and in shrewd intelligence, the Yoruba is no ordinary man. That means these guys, wọ́n gbé wa yẹ̀wò fínífíní. They studied us. Wọ́n mọ bá ṣe ń operate. They know. They closely observed us. Wọ́n dẹ̀ mọ bá ṣe ń ronú. So let me continue. It says, these remarks so credit to one Bishop Vidal, one of the early European clergymen dispatched by the British overlords, is not in any way an eclipse phenomenon. I mean, it is very common to come across various literatures singing the praises of our people. Many of the names that Yoruba people answer to, such as Omokaro Ojiri, lend credence to our status as a truly dignified people, Eni Yiniwa, a people who esteem good conduct above all things, including material possessions, We esteem good conduct above all things, including material possessions. To the Yoruba, material possession is secondary to your character. And that is why we would say, ènìyàn tí kò ní ìwà bí ọmọ láńgidi ni. That is, a badly behaved person is no better than an effigy. There is an analogy that is fitting to present when thinking of what Omoluabi is, and that is within the software development domain. That means for those who are software engineers or those who have a little bit of idea about software development. It speaks to anyone involved in this area, especially to those familiar with the concept of DevOps, and they would readily explain the importance of maintaining the integrity of your code base. Maintaining the integrity of your code base in software development. Now, if threat actors are able to successfully inject malware into your code base, that is the mitochondria of your system, there is no end to what they can do, including bringing your entire architecture down. To the Yoruba, the concept of Omoluabi, which is rooted in Iwa, as Akanji has earlier explained, is the ultimate cell control center. Iwa is our ultimate cell control center. That is, Iwa is our code base. Iwa is the bedrock of the Yoruba civilization. It is through this lens that one must view the Yoruba personhood. Now, I'll spotlight the 8 attributes of Omoluabi in no particular order. I'm sure so many of us are very familiar with these attributes, but let me bring it back to your memory. The first one, orosiso, that is sound speech. Like I said, these are in no particular order. Orosiso, sound speech. 2, iteriba, or respect. We can also, classify that under Iba. 3, Inurere, that is good mind towards others. All these are attributes of Omoluabi. These are our code base, my dear brothers and sisters. Enyarami, Iwapele, gentle conduct, under which you will have some subsets, such as number 1, Itelorun, contentment. 2, Anu. All these are under Iwapele. Anu, kindness, Ishoko, oneness, or you have to be a team player, what we call team player, because Agbajowo Lafin Soya. Akanji Femi has said, we are for self-determination. There's no going back. No matter what anybody say, we are for self-determination. Myself and himself, we are for that. But you see, we have to work together. Every one of us, we have to work together. And we have to, let Iwa be our code base. I'm still talking under Iwapele, we have Ododo, which is sincerity, honesty, and justice. And 5, Suru, which is patience. Now, all these are under the attribute of Iwapele, which is one of the 8 attributes of Omoluabi. So those are the sub attributes under Iwapele. Now, let me continue. I've mentioned Orosiso 1, Iteriba 2, Inurere 3, Otito 4, Iwapele 5. Then 6 is Akinkoju, which is bravery. Akinshojorara, Omo Akinewa. Then 7 is Isheshishe, hard work. We are not lazy. Then 8 is Opolo, Pipe, intelligence. Now, there is a lot to be said on each of these 8 attributes, but in the interest of time, we will spotlight them as follows in no particular order. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí mo ṣe sọ tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀. Attribute number 1, Orosiso, sound speech. We are taught to choose our words wisely and speak with respect. And this is why we say, ẹyin ni ohùn tó bá jábọ́ kò ṣeé kó. àti kékeré ló ti máa ń kọ́ wa ní ọ̀rọ̀ sísọ. That is, words are like eggs, unspoken, they can't be retrieved. The capability to use words or speak intelligently and respectfully is an attribute elders check for in any Omoluabi. Ẹ̀yin ará mi, we accord great respect for intelligence and expert use of language, especially in the use of proverbs and adages. Number 2, ìtẹríba, which is respect. Respect is that glue that holds warm relationships together. In the Yoruba society, parents teach kids at an early age about respect. It is in our culture, Ashawani, ìtẹríba, Ashawani. A true Omoluabi embodies and models respect to the old and to the young. Àtọmọdé o, àtàgbà o, àtọkùnrin o, àtobìnrin, àtomidán o, gbogbo wọn la gbọ́dọ̀ tẹríba fún. In our culture, boys prostrate to greet an elder. We call that ìdọ̀bálẹ̀. And the girls kneel, ìkúnlẹ̀, to greet elders. It is not in our culture to stretch out our hands to shake elders. Respect is the hallmark of our tradition. No, a mọ̀ pé ìdọ̀bálẹ̀ kì í ṣèwà, ṣùgbọ́n ó sunwọ̀n. You understand? Ìdọ̀bálẹ̀ kì í ṣèwà tàbí ìkúnlẹ̀ kì í ṣèwà, ṣùgbọ́n ó sunwọ̀n. Reverential greetings is not the ultimate of the suit of character, but it is expedient. Ẹ jẹ́ kí n tẹ̀síwájú. Quickly move on to number 3, which is inú rere, good mind towards others. Now, like I said, like we have said before, this is our code base. This is our code base. This is the base of our civilization. Nǹkan tó jẹ́ kó mọ̀ wá nìyẹn. And if we are looking for a Yoruba nation, these are the things that we need to go back to. Inú rere, good mind towards others. The Yoruba people are a noble people who are known for extending goodwill to others, sometimes to a fault. This is seen particularly in the way we treat strangers. We are the people who believe in esteeming all persons highly, even if they are not homebred. The idea of simply living to get all you can, putting all you can in a can, and then sitting on the can is cave mentality. And the Omoluabi is above this banality. Gbogbo ìta ń rí lọ́wọ́ àwọn olóṣèlú wá ń sìn, tọkọ̀ ń kójọ tó ń kó ọ̀rọ̀ jọ ọ̀rọ̀ tó yẹ kó jẹ́ fún gbogbo aráàlú. It is not in our code base. Kò ń ṣèwà Omoluabi. And we have to know that. There is a song that says, Ọwọ́ mi màrí funfun lẹ́lẹ́, inú mi màrí funfun lẹ́lẹ́, ọwọ́ mi màrí funfun lẹ́lẹ́, inú mi màrí funfun lẹ́lẹ́. See, my hands are clean. See, my mind is clean. See, my hands are clean. See, my mind is clean. Then the fourth attribute, which I'm going to talk shortly about, is òtítọ́, which is truth. Truth is the key to freedom. In a world where lies often masquerade as truth, one must side with truth. And doing this may mean you have to stand alone. Because as the Yoruba says, ayé kò tọ́, truth is called arts. Tí a bá sòótọ́, a ó kú. Tí a bá sòótọ́, a ó kú. Ká wí bẹ́ẹ̀, ká bá bẹ́ẹ̀ ni iyì ọmọlúàbí. Ẹnu òpùrọ́ kì í ṣẹ̀jẹ̀, irọ́ ní ń pa. So if you tell the truth, we'll die. If we lie, we will die. Telling the truth is the hallmark of good character. Ká wí bẹ́ẹ̀, ká bá bẹ́ẹ̀ ni iyì ọmọlúàbí. The mouth of a liar does not bleed blood, but lies. What is your mouth bleeding? Let me move on. Attribute 5, which is ìwà pẹ̀lẹ́, gentle conduct. Now, to a Yoruba, a badly behaved person has lost the essence of humanity. ó ti sọ ìwà nù. These are the people the Yoruba refer to as ènìyàn kénìyàn or ènìyàn lásán, that is a worthless caricature, ọmọlángidi, just an effigy. In Odu Irete Otura, Ifa, the voice of Olodumare, warned parents, especially mothers, to exhibit great character in raising their children because behavior is akin to a good apparel. Ultimately, behavior is learned from one's parents. Bí kò bá ní ìwà rere, ọmọlángidi ni. If he or she has no good character, he or she is no more than a wooden door. Now, the sixth attribute is akikoju. We are brave. Bravery. The Yoruba people prize bravery as a noble attribute of one who is well born. And the reason for this is really simple. Without bravery, without courage, greatness is but a mere wish. That is why I love with all my heart what the Yoruba, what TYF is doing, the Yoruba Foundation is doing. This is brave and Olodumare àti ìlẹ́yìn ẹ̀ ní ṣìṣe. Ògún òdẹ̀ nífẹ̀ẹ́ jẹ́ ẹnikẹ́ni wá wẹ̀. Àṣẹ. Yorubas have excelled at many things because of our resilience and industry, which is fueled by bravery, be it science and technology, astronomy, sports, you name it. We have been able to accomplish great things through constant courage in the face of threat. I repeat that. We have been able to accomplish great things through constant courage in the face of threats. Yíyọ́kọ́lẹ́kùn bí tojoko. That is why for someone like me, I always laugh at those who are in other people's states and they'll be, abusing, throwing curses at the owners of the land. We don't do that. The slow movement of a leopard is not due to fear. Mojamosa, lamo akíkanjú lójú ogun. Discretion is as much a valuable trait as bravery is. A true warrior knows when to engage and to disengage. Mojamosa, lamo akíkanjú lójú ogun. Now, the seventh attribute is iṣẹ́-ṣíṣe, which is hard work, or you can call it diligence. It is within the four walls of the home that a child is taught the importance of hard work, of diligence, consistency, and steadfastness. Àti kékeré ló ti ń kọ́ wa níṣẹ́ ṣíṣe nílẹ̀ Yorùbá. The sacred Odu Ifa of Otura Obara speaks of the importance of hard work and the need to eschew greed and jealousy, to run away from greed and jealousy, and the value of working with and helping others in order to achieve common goals. I've said it before. Agbajowo la fi ń sọ̀yà o. We are told in this Odu Ifa that the thief is displeasing in the eyes of Olodumare. Gbogbo àwọn tó ń jówó òlu, they are displeasing in the eyes of Olodumare. Ifa said so. And that work is an ire, that is a blessing from Olodumare. Work is a blessing. The Yoruba does not frown at being born with a silver spoon or being born into wealth, but it is the work of one's own hands that makes one dignified. The Yorubas frown at indolence, ole, alápámáṣiṣẹ́, bàbá olè. The lazy woman or man is akin to the chief of robbers. And the final attribute is eight, the eighth one, because they are eight. Ọpọlọ pípé, intelligence. If intelligence is the capacity for abstraction, logic, understanding, self-awareness, and so on, Yoruba is numero uno. Like the Spanish would say, number one, aṣíwájú ni wá, kò sẹ́ni tó bá wa. Things must firstly be perceived by the intellect and conceived in the mind. This is evident in Yoruba poetry. Gbogbo àwọn ìtàn wa, òwe wa, àlọ́ wa, it speaks of intelligence, high intelligence. The Yoruba must firstly be perceived by the intellect. The Yoruba, Omoluabi, literature, and oral poetry radiate intelligence. From our Oriki, that is our praise poem, to our Esefa, Alo Apamo, that is riddles, Toiton, and Aroso, our folklores, Ijala, that is hunter's dirge, Owe, they contain very profound wisdom. These are memorized and passed down from generation to generation through thousands of years by word of mouth. Through thousands of years by words of mouth. Kò sẹ́ni tó bá wa o. We are the Yorubas. We are the Ogo Adúláwọ̀s. Alágbára má mèrò, bàbá ọ̀lẹ. That is what Yorubas say. Physical strength without the ability to reason makes one the worst kind of lazy. So, I will, màá dáni dúró níbí báyìí. Màá jẹ́ kí Fẹ́mi kó máa bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ lọ. Fẹ́mi, you can take it up from here. Thank you very much.
Ẹ ṣeun ẹ̀gbọ́n, ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ mọ̀ mí as Fẹ́mi, but you know me as that anyway. Ẹ ti give me out. But it's all right. Alágbára má mèrò, bàbá ọ̀lẹ. Physical strength without the ability to reason makes one the worst kind of lazy. Brothers and sisters, àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ ṣókí tẹ́gbẹ́ látẹnu ẹ̀gbọ́n mi Oluwaseun. We've documented each of these attributes, these 8 attributes. We've actually published them on our blog, omoluabi.substack.com or omoluabi.app. Please feel free to go to that website and check it out. Live for Takpe, the last segment for this talk is what we've described as money is not an attribute of Omoluabi. Ẹgbàmíláyè kì í sọ pé eriwo yà. Ìyẹn túmọ̀ sí wípé ẹ listen sí nǹkan tí ọmọ àwo fẹ́ sọ. The impetus, right, for this presentation today really came from a growing trend that we have observed, where some people suggest that money is one of the attributes of Omoluabi. I recall about a month ago when Obìnrin Àkànṣe, the indomitable Obìnrin Àkànṣe, just sent me a message. Ọ̀gbẹ́ni Akanji, ṣé ti rí in táwọn èèyàn ń sọ. We will not name and shame anyone today, but we wish to admonish anyone peddling such erroneous concepts to desist in the name of Olódùmarè. Ẹ jáwọ́ nínú àpọ̀n tí ó yọ. We wish to set the record straight, okay, once and for all, that anyone who is advancing the idea that Owo or even Oro is an Omoluabi attribute, such a person is an enemy of the Yoruba people and must be treated as such. No, Owo and Oro is not an attribute of Omoluabi. For the avoidance of doubt, okay, Owo or his senior brother, Tangbe Oro, wealth, are byproducts of iṣẹ́ ṣíṣe, of diligent work. The idea that someone would then add Owo to the list of Omoluabi attributes is to inject a malware into the psyche of the Yoruba people. The people who are seeking breakthrough by every means, by every crook. Ẹ̀yin náà wo bí ìwà bàjẹ́ ti ṣe gbilẹ̀ ní bá ṣe ń sọ yìí, àwọn ọmọ wa bàbá mi àkàrà ògùn ni wọ́n send the website kan sí mi ní bíi 2 weeks ago. A Nigerian website ẹ̀ ti lè order fún ọmọkùnrin àbóbìnrin tẹ́ fẹ́ bá sùn. Irú nǹkan máa yóò ṣẹlẹ̀ rí. Tẹ́ bá dẹ̀ lọ sórí website yẹn, orúkọ àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá ló kún bẹ́ẹ̀ bá bí pé ò sọ́la mọ́ ni. You know, so kí náà dẹ̀ ń ṣe gbogbo yẹn fún torí ebi ni, torí mo fẹ́ làmìlaka, mo fẹ́ kọ́lé alárinrin. You know, when they look at what their counterparts are doing, they have no choice because of peer pressure then to, you know, because you see the way we now treat people who don't have means. We have relegated the Omoluabi attributes. So if then someone now wakes up and say, Owo is part of the attributes, you can imagine the danger that does to the psyche of a people. If we don't address, and so brothers and sisters, the real reason for this presentation today was to really lay this banality to rest. A warning. You see, at best, Owo or Oro is a servant. Our Yoruba we don't worship God. We don't worship money. Our life does not revolve around mofela, dogma. We place premium on character above all things. We believe that dignity, should be the goal of every human being. We believe that a good name is better than cowries. Our economic system was based on barter. This concept of fiat money as we know it today is a recent development. So how can someone then say Owo is part of the core values when money was recently invented? You see, we are those whom the Creator has blessed with all that we need to live satisfactorily. This is why tailoring is part of the attribute of Iwapele, the sub-attribute of Iwapele. When you closely examine the Yoruba divination system known as Ifa, which comprises of 16 Odu Ifas, chapters and verses, you know, what you realize is that the various stanzas of songs and poetic recitals have several portions dedicated to the issue of teaching the character, the Iwa that Olodumare, the creator of rainbow, supports. This is why, in addition to Riruebo, which is very potent, for those Christians and Muslims, for those of you who frown at sacrifice, go and read the book of Luke chapter 2 verse 24 and see where the parents of Jesus offered sacrifice. Okay? So the potency of sacrifices is there. Shugban Eyito Jew. All right? And when we offer sacrifice in Yoruba tradition, we are offering those sacrifices to venerate the energies of Olodumare as manifested through those irúnmọlẹ̀. Ṣùgbọ́n èyí tó jù nínú gbogbo ohun tá à ń ṣe nínú ìṣẹ̀ṣe, ó ní ìwà. That is why the Yoruba people will say things like Bí a ti bẹ̀rù la bọ́mọ, which means the slave and the child are both human beings and they are deserving of dignity. That's why Yoruba will say Ìwà ni ọba àwúre. Good character is the greatest luck charm. We say Ìwà ni ìwà, means good character is the bedrock of existence. Ìwà ni ẹ̀sìn. Good character is the true unadulterated religion. Ìwà ni ẹwà. Good character makes one beautiful. These are the things that our ancestors lived by. No, Owo is not part of the characters or the traits of Omoluabi. Ẹ dákun gbogbo àwọn tí wọ́n sì mẹ̀dọ̀, àwọn tí wọ́n ń gbé irọ́ káàkiri, tí wọ́n ò bá fẹ́ rí jà àwọn irúnmọlẹ̀, kí wọ́n dẹ̀yìn lẹ́yìn ìwà ibi. Owo àtọrọ̀ is not part of the attributes. They are errands They are byproducts of a diligent life, of a dignified life. Bashemu Oroi Si Pari. You see, the key to restoring the dignity of a people, I've said it before, is to restore their identity, their spirituality, their moral foundation, their polity, their economy, and culture, amongst other things. Inu mi de dun. We pay a lot that we are doing is moving towards that. We must first return. Okay, we return first. Then we begin to recover. That's all we are doing right now before we can restore. So if anybody is thinking about someone like Baba Olowo, who after the Colon Forum Kebaba, after the Biafra Nigerian War, who spoke about the reconstruction, redevelopment, rehabilitation, this is the new 3 hours for the Yoruba nation. The return, the recovery, and the restoration of our dignity by focusing on these pillars: our identity, our spirituality, our moral foundation, politics, and economy. And the base foundation for all of this is the Omoluabi code. It is the Yoruba believe that without character, a person is nothing. The Yorubas believe that without character, a people are nothing. Without character, Yoruba people, without Iwa, Yoruba people are nothing. Èyí tó ṣe jù nínú èyí tó jẹ́ olórí ohun àjogúnbá wa, òun ni ìwà jẹ́, òun ni ohun àfiṣagbára wa. Èyí ló yà wá sọ́tọ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìran iyì, a dignified people. You must have heard this before, that the highest form of status in life is Omoluabi. If you go to Obìnrin Àkànṣe's bio, you will see it there. Omoluabi status is the highest status in life. Because why? My Egbon Ifadare would say, character is the greatest form of capital. Or being Yoruba, yeah, he puts it as say Yoruba is being Yoruba is a form of capital. Our language, our culture is a form of capital. I say that character is the greatest form of Yoruba capital. Iwa. It is the ultimate asset that the Yoruba race has. Ewo, kò sí àní-àní lórí wípé we will achieve our goal of self-determination and other lofty ideals. But we must root our nation on the eternal principles of Iwa. For us to be able to build a society that is sustainable. Our ancestors believed that Iwa is the bedrock of human existence. Don't forget, like we said, the word itself, Iwa, is existence and character. It's indistinguishable. You can't separate them. And gẹ́gẹ́ bá ṣe máa ń sọ, ọgbọ́n ju agbára lọ. You know, ẹ̀kọ́ gbóná fẹ́ sùúrù. You see, everything we want, everything good will come. It's a book that was written, I think, by Sefi Atta or someone. Everything good will come. Gbogbo ire, gbogbo á tó wa lọ́wọ́, ṣùgbọ́n ẹ má jẹ́ kí ká gba àwọn ẹni ibi láti inject poison sínú psyche wa. Ẹ ṣeun, thank you so much for allowing us to speak on this topic. I want to appreciate my co-presenter, Egbon Oluwaseun Oluwabi. I want to thank the leadership and the management of Think Yoruba First. I want to thank especially my fellow comrade, Akaragun. You know, thank you for all that you are doing for the Yoruba nation. My prayer is that Olodumare Aran Walowo ani kusona bi efin. Our prayer is that Olodumare will favor the cause of the great Yoruba people of the world. Ẹ ṣeun o.
Wow. Ẹ̀gbọ́n Akanji, ṣé ń gbọ́ mi?
Agbọ̀nyin, sir.
All right. Ẹ ṣe púpọ̀. Ṣé rí Um, hmm, mo ò lè sọ ẹni tó bá ti gbọ́ the last lecture tẹ́ ẹ wá ṣe. Mo ò mọ̀ tẹ́nibọ̀dì bá ti play replay yẹn tó mi. In fact, ẹ jẹ́ kí n sọ òjòrò council kan. I think I was one of the people that probably pressured Omo Baba that we needed to have it on Spotify. Because anytime tí bá ń gbọ́ látòrí YouTube tí bá dẹ̀ ń wa ọkọ̀ kò ń fún mi ní ìfọkànbalẹ̀ yìí torí advert máa ń wọ̀ ní gbogbo ìgbà. So I pressured him and I used my manager status to beg Egbon Omo Baba that I needed to have that